Hi friends, welcome to YAML Crash Course. So in this course, we will learn about YAML contextual language, how it is used. So if you want to learn about DevOps and if you want to learn about its culture, so you need to understand this YAML language. So why the use of YAML language is very vast. So whether you are writing any Docker Compose file or whether you are writing any Kubernetes pod file, whether you are writing any configuration file or whether you are writing any Ansible playbook file. So while writing all of them, so YAML language is used for writing those. Okay. So if you want to master your DevOps journey, you should understand the use of YAML, how it is used, when should you use. Okay. So let's start it. So first, you should have a pre-knowledge about the languaging. So there are two types of programming languages. So first one is declarative and another one is imperative. Okay, so the declarative language can be defined as a program, what a program can do rather than how it can be done. Okay, so like an HTML, CSS, you may also sometimes refer them as front end, right? Now, the JSON, YAML, and XML are considered as context sensitive language and they comes under declarative programming language. Okay, and the next one is imperative. So basically they are your core programs. So they define how a program can be accomplished like C++, Java, Python. Okay, so hope you are clear with the pre-knowledge. Let's move ahead. So let's understand about YML and start it. Okay, so YML it's abbreviation for yet another markup language. So it's an also a markup language like XML and other markup language, but it's more easily readable, editable, and implemented like the other markup language. Okay, basically it consists of a data consistent model. So we'll learn about this if possible in this lecture, and we will also understand the processes contents in the YAML processing. Okay. Next, the main reason for using YML it is portable with many imperative languages like Python, PHP, Ruby. Okay. And if you are wondering about how you can configure or check for the YML, so you can always use JSON with it in parallel with it for understanding the YML. In our demos or in our example, when we will be understanding YML, we will use JSON by side to understand this. But you should remember that JSON is a subset of YML. Okay, then if it is a subset of YML, then you can understand that YML parser can also parse the JSON language. Okay, we will understand about parser when we will be discussing our process. Now next, YML does not have any extra delimiter. You do not need to use braces or colons here and there many times like JSON. So if you might be aware of JSON, you might be using colon or braces, but in YML it does not need it, and that's what it makes lightweight than the other programming language. Okay. Now, before moving forward, let's take an example of understanding YML, JSON, XML. Okay, so we will try to write the same stuff in both of these languages and let's understand how it is lightweight. Okay, so here is an example of an XML document. So in here, if I will, so in here, first it is write it in block, then there you come a subblock, and then there are three properties of it: names, honor, and status, and you have to enclose them in the property. Okay, right? Now if you will move this to same as the JSON format, so how it works, so basically there is a family of braces, then you have a servers defined, then inside you have a server, and then there are three properties inside it. Okay, now you want to show this to a YML language, how you can do that? So there is example of YML language. Okay, so it just needed 5 lines of code and that's it. Your YML file is ready. Okay, so you can see how it is different from all other markup languages or all other declarative languages. Okay, so hope you are clear with this and how it helps, how it is lightweight. Now let's move ahead. Now, basically, YML has many collections. So let's understand some of the collection which used which used very popular. So they are used on every YAML configuration file. Okay, so first you need to understand the basic of the structure or collection, which is key value pairs. So if you and of course while creating the YAML file, you need to understand that which value or which property uses a key value pair. Okay, so if you are aware of about that configuration file, how you are going to make it, so you need to aware that hey, where the mapping or dictionary or list or key value pairs are going to be used. Okay, so for example, here is the example of key value pairs in here. So it's called mapping also. So in here we have a key called car, then we have given colon, and then there should be a space between them. If there is no space, then it will throw a parser error. Okay, and YML cannot parse it. Now there is a key, and then we have assigned it to a value by colon and then space, right? Similarly, there is another key called make and then colon then space 2018. Same brand, colon then space then Honda. So that's called key value pair type of collection, which is mapping. So basically these are not a basic thing. So these are used with dictionary and lists. Okay, so now let's move ahead and check with the different type of collections. So here come the arrays or list. So basically these are ordered pair. So here is a main value of a thing. So suppose if you want to describe an array of brands, so how you will, so brands then colon and then you will give a hyphen. Okay, now these hyphens should be in the same line. Okay, so if you want to give space or two space, then it will be also good, but there should not be a tab space, right? So keep in your mind, so you should not give a tab space. And also the YML is case sensitive. So if you are giving brands here and accessing by aliases, so you should uh, be careful about that casing. Okay, so if you want to give a hyphen here, so you can give it here. If you want to give hyphen after two spaces, then it is also good. But they all should, the properties or the list of all the items should be in the same line. Okay, so if I am giving here hyphen Honda, then the next list of an item should be in the same line. So hyphen Porsche. Okay, same if I am assigning another array or another list like bike, so I will give the same. So in here I can also give the hyphen after two spaces, hyphen Royal Enfield, hyphen Kawasaki and hyphen KTM. Okay, but they should be in the same line. If I am going, if I am giving line here that hyphen Royal Enfield, and if I will give hyphen here like in the front of K hyphen space Kawasaki, then it will not work and it will throw a parser error. Okay, and also keep in mind that after hyphen there should be a space, there should be no extra spaces. Okay, so YML is very strict about spacing indentation. Okay, now let's understand about another collection, which is dictionary or mapping. So it's a combination of arrays and list, but here it is not giving any hyphen. So suppose if you have a Honda dictionary and starting Honda some value, so how you can map the value? So there is a sub value inside it. So bikes and car, basically dictionary are unordered list, same type of. Now here you are giving an indentation here. So the blue highlighted here, it's an indentation. So in here there should be a space, two spaces, and then bikes, and in the same line there should be another dictionary words. Okay, and then your key value pair like colon then space and then whatever units are there. Okay, now if you want to write or include array list, how you will do that inside the dictionary or map? So here is an example. So in here what I have done, I have included a brand, and then inside it I have included list, and then inside the list I have included dictionary or map. Okay, so in our regular or on our live examples of any YML file, we use this kind of configuration file where all these things are included. Okay, so in here there is a brand, then we have provided a hyphen in within the same line of the B word. So we can also provide after R on the same line of R or on the same line of A, but we cannot provide a hyphen after tab spaces. Tab space will be on the same line as N. Okay, so for here it will be B. Okay, now if you want to understand how these things are working and how you want to see, so you can learn about styles. Okay, so if you will search for flow styles, block style or sequence styles, so it will give you all the illustration with example of exclamation mark and mark. Okay, so it will basically tell you how where are all the indentation, how much indentation it require, how much spacing it requires. Okay, now the brands will have a column, then we are starting a list, then the list will have a two property, two list we have, so Honda and Bajaj, and they should be in the same line. So if you are giving Honda here and then Bajaj in here, then it will throw a error. But if you are providing Honda uh, from the column of R, then you should provide a column from Bajaj also start from R. Okay, now inside Honda we can give a two spaces or indentation, this is called indentation, and then you can write your key value pairs, okay, of a dictionary of map. Okay, so hope you are clear with the YAML collections, and you should take these as a live example. So basically these kind of things are, or these kind of files generally used in YAML. Okay, so these are the complex, and you it contains of the key values and key values with dictionary map and array and list. Okay, so let's move forward. Now the rules for creating YAML file, as I have already suggested, so it is a case sensitive, so you should clear with the case sensitive thing. Now if you are creating any YAML file, so we'll tell about all the rules on the next section when we will be learning about the different type of icons used. So basically the file in which you are writing the YAML file, it should be saved as an extension YAML or .yml. Okay, and it should be in smaller letter only. Okay, also, YML does not allow the use of tabs while creating YML file. Spaces are allowed instead, which are further used for indentation. Okay, so keep in mind that tab spaces are not allowed. Tab spaces, but normal spaces are allowed. Okay, now let's move forward. Now we have three types of components in YML. So this is a conventional block format. So in which you are presenting the data in the form of block, so it's a kind of array. So we are starting the document with three hyphen here. Okay, so this is a mandatory field. So if you're starting any YML file, so you should start with three hyphen, then here is my list. So I have giving list of my favorite web series, so don't mind them if you don't have the one of these are as favorites. Okay, now uh, as a part of indentation, I am giving here one space. Okay, you can also put two space but not three space because it will lead to a tab space. Okay, so if you are giving a one space, then the next list item will be just downside in here. Okay, similarly the next list item will become downside in here. Now the next one is inline format. So if you are giving inline formats, how it is helpful, so you use a braces for this. So I'm starting my document with three hyphen, then the basically this sharp icon or hash icon is for commenting, so you can put a one line comment here. Now if so basically I will put in braces, and then I will put milk comma groceries comma eggs comma juices comma fruits. Okay, and there should be a space between them. So how this will be parsed, this will parsed as a same like this. It's just another format. So basically this is an inline format and this is a block format. Okay, and the next one is like folded format, so it's basically used for a kind of array with the dictionary. So these things, so basically I have represented one array with the dictionary here. So list of dictionary, so here is a name Austin and age 45. So this will work as same as this one folder text. So here it is a curly braces, so name colon Mary, name colon space Mary, and comma then space age colon space 15. Okay, so hope you are clear with these three types of components in YML use. Okay, now next move forward and let's understand with the synopsis of YML basic element. What are the basic element? Okay, now the first one we should understand about our comments. So every language needs a comment on how program should behave, because every line will contains different piece of character and different piece of code which is result in different results. So you should add a comment to that. So for adding a comment, you will add a character called hash. Okay, now you can write anything hash space and anything right to it. If you want to add another line of comment, you can use another hash in the next line. Okay, in the next basically the comments must be separated from other token by a white space. Okay, so if you are not providing any white space from other token, so it will throw an error and it will not interpret as comment. Okay, so YML parse will throw an error. Next, so indentation of white space is used to denote any structures. Okay, and also string can be put in double quotes, right? So if you are putting anything in the key value pairs, like if you message like hello world, so it should not take hello world as two elements, so you can put them in double quotes, right? Tabs are not included in the as a indentation of YML file. This we have already understood, and you can use one space or two spaces instead, right? Now the list members are denoted by leading hyphen with the space. So you should not use also only hyphen, then you can start your word. No, it will be wrong. So hyphen, then a space, your key, then colon, then a space, your value, right? Now the list member are enclosed in square brackets and separated by commas. Okay, so if you are using any inline format, so you can enclose in square brackets separated by a comma. So this is for inline. Now this is for your another one type of block that we have learned earlier. Okay. Now if you want to write a multiple document in a single YML file, how you can do that? So suppose if you are writing any file, YML file, so you have started a YML file, you write something, and if you want to write another piece of or another configuration file of a YML file in the same file, how you will do that? So after ending one file, you can put this three hyphen again to start another file, and you can write multiple file in a same file. Okay, you can write multiple configuration in a same file. Okay, hope you understood. And for ending this, you can use three dots, so it will be in the last synopsis. Now this is very helpful. So repeated notes in each file are initiated denoted by an ampersand and icon and by asterisk mark later. So suppose if you are denoting a key value, suppose if you are denoting any brand value called Bajaj. Okay, so and if you want to use the same value later, how you will do that? So YML does not, so YML will not take the result as the same value at each time it is called. So how you will do that? So you will use and percent. So whenever use and percent before the colon, before the word, how it will treat? It will treat as an anchor value. Okay, so it is called an anchor value. And then after that, if you want to use it, you will use asterisk to use it as alias of your anchor. Okay, hope you understood. Now next move ahead. YML always requires colons and commas used as list separated followed by space. Okay, so we have already understood while discussing about collections. Now node should be labeled with an exclamation mark and double exclamation mark followed by a string which can be expanded into an URI or URL. So basically what is a node? So node is basically a part of or a thing you are going to decide. Suppose if you are writing a list, so it is called a node. Now if you are writing a flow style, block style or sequence style, so you will denote spaces or a node, and if you want to label it, so you will use exclamation mark or double exclamation mark. Okay, and of course if you want to end a YML document, you can use triple dots in there. Okay, so it's optional, but if you want to end this, you should use this. It's a best practice. Okay, now let's move ahead. Now let's understand with the full length example of a YML file. So we have here a YML file. So in here we have used a dictionary and then a pair. Okay, key value pair also. Now in here I have four types of nodes here. So basically node is a one type of data in here. So here is another type, here is another type, here is another type, here is another type. Okay, now in here my n%, I when I have defined it as m%, then it is an anchor value. Okay, so it is an anchor value, and if I want to recall this value, how I will do that? I will use a star icon. So it will create an aliases for this anchor values. Okay, so here and in here I am using this alias of this anchor value, right? And what is this double arrow icon, double smaller than icon? So it is for copying the snippet. So suppose if you don't want to write this snippet again and again, you can use this. So what it will do, it will use this adapter and host for this database. Similarly for this, similarly for this, if you will write this code and if you will parse it to JSON, how it will be done? So it will look like this. Okay, so it will not detect an anchor value or this one string. But if you will see here, so environment is test, but in the instead of their database. So what it will do, it will take all of this in from here and it will paste in here. Similarly for this, so it is taking the database property and adapter and host property as the same this one. Okay, so we don't want to write a snippet again and again. So how you can do that? You can just use smaller double smaller icon in here. Okay, so hope you understood the YML file. Now, how the YML processes in the background. Okay, so there are some process for it. Okay, so YML follows a standard procedure for this process to follow. It should not be any random. The native data structure in YML basically includes simple representations such as nodes. Okay, so if you are writing any mapping or a sequence or a scalar or a value, so these are all sequentially called a tag node. Okay, and they are represented by a node graph, right? So basically what happens, there is a native data structure. Okay, then it is go to a step called represent, and it is going to a representation phase. Okay, now the information in YML is used in two ways. So basically there should be a machine processing and then should be a human consumption. Okay, so one data cannot be passed by the two different type of things. Okay, machine and human also. Okay, so there should be a process for converting it to machine and reconverting it to human consumption. The process in YML basically is used as a tool for procedure and for converting information between complementary views. Okay, so basically it will convert to represent, then serialize, then present. YML also includes a serialization procedure. So it is a serialization process from here and there, and then it will represent data objects in a serial format. Okay, the processing of YML, basically the process YML, how it is processing into three stages. Okay, of course there is a backward also for converting it to opaque program data, for parsing it back, then composing it, and then constructing it back. But how it is building it till presentation, so basically it is taking three stages: representation, serialization, and then presenting. Okay, so let's discuss first about representation. So YML basically represents the data structure using three kinds of nodes. Okay, so sequence, mapping, and then scalar, right? Now let's understand the sequence. Sequence is like you are writing one piece of YML code and you are defining each product or each configuration or each dictionary one by one. Okay, so you have write anything like product, then you are starting your list, and then you are starting. Mapping is like key value, how you are defining a key value pair, and the scaling is like basically it's represent a standard value of string, integer, dates, and atomic data type. Okay, and note that the YML also includes node which specify the data type structure. Okay, now next one is serialization. So here we have understood about anchors and aliases in the previous slide. So serialization process is required in YML that each human friendly key order and anchor name. Okay, the result of serialization is a serialization tree. So basically it will create an event tree which is understandable by the parser. Okay, and then it can be traversed to a product a series of event calls of a YML data. Okay, and at the end it's called a presentation step, where the final output of a YML serialized. Okay, so basically it is a serialized output of a YML file, and it basically represents stream data stream in a human readable manner. Okay, so in here it's a style, comments, and directive spacing, all the things which is human readable. Okay, and here it is human process. Now how it is machine process, so the steps will be rolled back. So first it will be parsed back to serialization, then it will be composed to tags, mapping, sequence, and then it will be construct to an opaque program data, and it will break all the keys. Okay, so different keys will be break into different categories. Okay, so I'm hoping you have understood the concept of processing and how the data is processed. So basically it will be dumped to a human processing format, and then it will be based by parsing, composing, and constructing, it will be back to a machine readable format. Okay, or YML readable format. So hope you understood that. So basically parsing is like inversing process of presentation. Okay, so it includes a stream of character. So basically what YML process does, it will break a break all the things in a stream of character and create a series of event. Okay, so first it will go this by this, so it will create a series. And also it discards the details introduced in the presentation process which causes a serialization event. Okay, and parsing procedure can also be failed, so it does not need to be always successful, and when it is failed due to an ill-formed input. So if there is a wrong format input, it will get failed. Okay, so basically it is basically a procedure to check whether YAML is well formed or not. Okay, and it is must needed while parsing. So parsing is also one of the important processes while processing a YAML file. Okay, so hope we have understood the processing and YML for this, how it works under the hood, how it processes under the hood. Okay, now let's move ahead and let's understand what is the use of YML in DevOps culture. Okay, where it is used. Also, let's understand how you can troubleshoot the YML. Okay, so I will head over on my browser. I am on my browser. So what I will try to search, if I will, so let's see the real example of YML file. So if I will see pod.yml in Kubernetes, so basically pod is a basic structure on in Kubernetes. So if I will see the YML file of a pod, so it will be in a YML format. Okay, and it is in a YML language. So what here it is a, so here it is starting a key value pair. So basically you should be aware of how key value pair is working, and also how a property is containing different type of keys and values. Okay, here we have a key value pair like API version v1 kind pod metadata, and in here we have a dictionary or a mapping called name nginx. Okay, then we are starting another key value pair or a dictionary, and in here we have a subject dictionary, and then here starting a list. Okay, now you should be aware that inside this pod there is a dictionary called container pod. Okay, now in here there will be another dictionary called or a list called node pod. So you can start with the same line of indentation with the node pod like 8080. Now if there is another, you want to add another container, how you can do that? So it will be come in the on the same line like a name colon nginx. Okay, so suppose if I will copy this. Now let's see also how you can troubleshoot it. So you can go to any YML validator online. Okay, YML formatter or YML validator online, and you can go in there and you can write your piece of code. Okay, so if I will go there, if I will copy this to, and if I will paste this, if I will paste this, so in here if I want to add another container to it, so I can give a same indentation with this, and I can start my another container like Redis, and then I can give it properties in the same line like this. Okay, from here I will not give the same line as here, as it will throw an error. Now now what I can do, I can start here image and then Redis, whatever version it is currently. Okay,
Okay.
now
Now,
if
if
you
you
are
are
done
done
with
with
containers
containers
and
and
if
if
you
you
want
want
to
to
use
use
another
another
property
property
called
called
volume
volume
to
to
it,
it,
so
so
how
how
you
you
will
will
do
do
that?
that?
So
So
you
you
will
will
not
not
add
add
volume
volume
to
to
the
the
same
same
line
line
because
because
it
it
will
will
come
come
under,
under it will come under
the
the
Redis
Redis
image.
image.
So
So
it
it
will
will
be
be
wrong.
wrong.
So
So
how
how
you
you
will
will
do
do
that?
that?
So
So
inside
inside
the specification, so there is a value called or dictionary called container. So how you can add a volume? So in the same line of indentation, you will use the same line, you will use a map called or a value called volume. Okay, and you will start at the same line of indentation like containers. Okay, so what I will suggest, you do not write your YML in your normal notepad. So what you can do, you can use any YML format or use Visual Studio Code YML extension to write any YML format. So what it will do, if you will write the code here, and so after this when you will put enter, so what it will do, it will not take you here by default, and it will start you from here. Okay, so always use YML formatter. Now if you want to validate how your YML is correct or not, so how you can do that? So I will go to my web and I will search for YAML validator online. So there is a link called YAML lint. So how you can do that? You can go to there and paste your code and you can search on Go. So it will tell you, hey, it's a valid YAML. Okay. Now, if I will go in here, if I will add one more property called node port, now it will be also a valid YAML. Okay. Now, if I will close one braces one down, so it will tell you that, hey, it's an invalid and block sequence is not followed here. Okay. Of course, you can. So here you have given that indentation. Now, if you will, as I've already said, if you want to give the colon here or hyphen from here p, it will also work. Okay, but this one will suggest you that, hey, best you need to give it from after two spaces, right? For understanding a YML, if you cannot understand what it is doing or how it is doing, so what you can do, you can search for YML to JSON online converter. You can go to that, and if you will paste the data, it will convert it to a JSON format. Okay, and if you are not able to follow or catch the YML format, you can convert it to JSON and you can write it. All right, so hope you have understood how it is being used in real life or DevOps culture and how you can troubleshoot the YML format. Okay, and it's not only limited to a pods. So if you will search for any Ansible playbook, so it will be also in YML format only. Okay, so if I will go to playbook syntax and if I look like here, so see, it is starting a YML file and then it is starting the configuration file with the different type of things. Here is another list and then here is another list. Okay, so similarly there are many example of YML language, use of my YML language in real DevOps world. Okay, now let's come back on our PPT and hope we are clear with the YML brief info and we have tried to cover enough about YML. Okay, now thank you very much for joining with me, and I am hoping that whatever time we have given for YML, we were able to cover most of the topic. Okay, so thank you all, and we will come with a new lecture of series or new series soon. Okay, so till then, take care. If you think that my lecture or my resources are helpful, please hit subscribe button to my channel. Okay, thank you all. Take care till next lecture.